listening to Nasty Knuckles, the Hockey Outlaws podcast, with your hosts, Derek Nasty Settlemyre and former Philadelphia Flyer enforcer Riley Cote, as they go behind the scenes with your favorite NHL players. This week's guest is the wily vet and Stanley Cup champion, Jim Dowd. Time to face off.
Welcome back to another episode of Nasty Knuckles. What's happening, Nasty?
What's up, Riggs? You got the Harbison and the Sobbin there. We're good to go, buddy.
Just recovering from yesterday in my lower abdominal from laughing so hard.
From the laughing. What a great time, man. It was awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming out. It was good stuff.
Yeah, man. It's great golf tournament yesterday. Athletes for Care. You could probably explain a little bit about all that since you have so much to do with it.
Yeah, I was one of the co-founders of Athletes for Care. It's a 501c3 that we started about 6 years ago, just helping athletes transition into the real world, but then also helping athletes just, recognize that they have a platform and a ton of influence and using it the right way. So trying to just change the paradigm through, different means. Cannabis being one of the big ones we talk about as far as pain management, concussions, the brain, and the whole bit. So we had, I don't know how many, seven or eight other fellow Flyer alumni participated yesterday, as well as, I don't know, there must have been close to 10 former Eagles there and some other athletes.
Yeah,
so it was
some big boys.
Some real big boys. Yeah, right. I was skin and bones compared to some of them, no question.
They're probably like, this guy was a tough guy in hockey. He was about $160.
Blowing in the wind here.
It was funny. But I'll tell you what, you were hitting them long off the tee.
Oh, I don't know what that's. It was a rough go, man.
Listen, I do have to say this because you hit the ball fairly well yesterday. For someone who never plays golf, people may not know this. You just are not a golfer. But you can't make contact, and you did yesterday, except for the 2 holes that we had to pay money. We didn't have to pay. We donate. It was for charity.
Well, it was Litz that offered the 200 Beano for
and you and I paid for it.
Yeah, we paid for it, yeah. The most expensive, shittiest shots of my career.
So I have to tell everyone, we do have footage of this, so it will be out later. We had a great day with all our people from Nasty Knuckles yesterday, Evan and Josh and Jim. But we get to this one hole, and there's a former LPGA golfer there, really nice. And you donate 100 and you get a hole in one for the hole, or you donate 200 and you get a 0. So Lit says 200, and Riles and I are the only one with any money. So we end up paying. So Riles anyway steps up to the tee and hit it about 4 yards?
Oh, yeah.
That'd damn near missed the ball.
You'd be generous, give me 4 yards. It was a heavy shank slash.
Heavy.
Oh.
Those are the only 2 shots that you didn't get off the tee, at least.
Oh, my God. It was embarrassing.
Oh, my God. But I was laughing. And I'm thinking, what is this woman thinking right now? This guy's a pro athlete.
Oh, yeah. And she put it 10 feet from the pin?
Oh, no, that would be me.
Oh, that was you. Yeah, you beat her. That's right.
Big deal. I did beat her. I don't know if we ever got her raffle tickets.
She's supposed to send them to your email.
She was supposed to email. Anyway, it was a great day.
It was good stuff.
Mark Farzetta joined us. It was awesome. And Neil Little, former goalie. He's a knucklehead. He's been on here before. Everybody knows him. He's a really good golfer.
Yeah, really good. He was killing it. Farzy surprised me too, man. He was killing it.
He hit some bombs yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
He got better as the day went on. I did too. My game was. I was struggling at first, and finally found it a little bit. And then our
found
boy
your flow
Evan.
State. Oh yeah,
Evan lost to Sovinson, but he did end up hitting some shots. You'll have to see what we're talking about later. I had this poor kid so rattled he didn't know where to shit or wind his watch. He was looking in his pockets and everything else.
Oh, it was classic. One of the hardest I've laughed in a long time. But all around good time. But what's going on in the world of the NHL, Nast? What do you got for us?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, the series ended tonight. Tampa Bay took care of Carolina. I thought that would go a little longer. Games are close, good games. Just Tampa just, they just always found a way to
Tampa's good,
win,
man.
and
Jeez.
they're good. I mean, it's not like they're not any good. Carolina, though, like I think I had said to you, Rob, I was like, that's a team like I like watching them play. They play so fast.
Yep.
But Tampa plays a fast game too, and they've got that big number 88, Vasilevsky back there. He's I mean, he did get lit up the other night, but it's like Grant Fuhr used to say, get me what he say, get me 7 boys, I guarantee you a win.
Yeah, right.
Score,
yeah.
I think the score in game of what was it, 5 there was in Tampa, or 4, whatever it was. That was game 4. There was a lot of goals in that game. But anyway, then Montreal sweeping Winnipeg. Did not see that coming. Didn't see that. I'm not saying I didn't. They came in there after coming off that win, beating Toronto, which I don't think many people expected. But to sweep Winnipeg, I just didn't see that one.
No, the only thing I could think of maybe was just the momentum of the Scheifele hit and the suspension and the karma of it. I don't know. I mean, not that you could say that would lead to a sweep, but nonetheless, I think George Laraque said it as soon as that hit happened. Is or the Jets are done. They're done in 4, and he says it right away. It's kind of interesting philosophy, but something like that could impact the series, no question. Could probably work either way, but no, I mean, Montreal was obviously the better team there, and I mean, a couple of those young guys, man, they're fun to watch. Whew.
They are fun to watch, and last night the overtime winner Caulfield.
Oh man, what a play! Hey,
And then Toffoli, Toffoli's been there, man. He's won. I'm definitely not sitting here saying Montreal's going to win the cup. We got a great series going on with Colorado and Vegas.
Man,
that's gone back and forth. Both teams winning both home games. Big game 5 tonight, so be interesting to see what happens. And then, man, the Islanders have a chance to close out the Bruins tomorrow, and I didn't see that either.
No, I know.
And it's not over. I mean,
it's not over, but
obviously it's not over. But
I wouldn't have thought that they would have been so involved. Yeah, I just thought that Boston was a better team going into it, but
I did too.
It is the playoffs.
It's the playoffs, and when Anders Lee went down, I got to be honest. I'm like, this team's done. Like he's such a big part of their team. I know it's one guy, but like, he's a big part of their team.
Yeah.
Just it scores big goals, big guy in front of the net. He's your captain.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like here goes Lou Lamoriello, picks up Zajac in Palmieri, and Palmieri's got 6 goals.
I know, right?
In the playoffs. It took him forever to get a regular season goal there at the end of the year. But, this guy's got 6 goals all of a sudden. One of my favorite things was the other night, our buddy Christopher Stieg, he was on his Instagram, and he always puts up little videos, and he's kind of breaking the game down. And he had a great point. Zajac had played like 7.5 minutes, and Barzell had played 5. And I don't think there was a lot of penalties in that period. I understand Zajac would be out there more if there were penalties, but he had a thing on there that said free Barzell.
Yeah.
Trotzy must follow him because he played the shit out of him after that, and the guy took the game over. I mean, single-handedly took the game over. And then he had another good game last night as well. Obviously, he scored. They came up with that big win in Boston. So going back there, man, that's a tough place to win.
It is.
Boston's got to, you can't ever count them out, though. Those,
Yeah.
Bergeron and Marchand and Krejci and, all those guys, they just got a good team. And I think that's going to be a really good game.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I don't think that one's over.
Pasta.
I think that one's going 7.
I think so too. Pasta, I don't want to leave him.
Yeah, Pasta, yeah, right.
Plus, have you seen his suits coming to the games?
Oh yeah,
Guy's such a wheel. I love that guy.
Oh yeah,
Heavy.
Make a statement. Love it.
I said to Sudsy, my dad, if those of you don't know, I said, he sends me a picture of one of Pasta's suits, and I was like, heavy drip, Dad. He goes, we used to get shots for that. I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it there.
Yeah. Right.
Anyway, so it's been interesting. Can't wait to watch this game tonight with Vegas and Colorado, and then tomorrow to see if Boston can force a Game 7.
Yeah, should be good.
All right, Riles. Well, let's get into episode number 26 with Jimmy the Junkyard Dog Dowd, presented to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. DraftKings Sportsbook is not only my favorite sportsbook, but also America's top-rated sportsbook. I love using DraftKings Sportsbook. It is easy to navigate, has plenty of instructions for new bettors, and nearly limitless ways to get in on all of the action. My friends and family have been loving DraftKings Sportsbook, and I know you will too. Listen to this great offer, Riggs.
Let's hear it.
DraftKings Sportsbook is putting you courtside with a chance to turn $1 into $100 in site credits. That's right. Pick any basketball team that is still in contention, bet $1, and if that team wins, you win $100 in site credit. Don't forget, DraftKings Sportsbook also offers great odds and promotions on baseball, hockey, and so much more all week long. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code KNUCKLES when you sign up to turn $1 into $100 in free credits. Bet on the basketball team of your choice to win their next game, and if they do, you will claim $100 in free credits. That's promo code KNUCKLES for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, new customers only. Wager paid out in site credits. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino, see DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Kenny Rogers.
What a deal. Let's go, Nast.
Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of Nasty Knuckles. I'm Riley Cote.
And I'm Derek Settlemyre. And this week, we are so happy to have our good buddy, the Junkyard Dog, Jimmy Dowd. What's up, brother?
Hey, guys. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Oh,
Good to see you, Jimmy.
Great to see you guys.
Good to see you, brother. What's going on, my man?
Oh, lots of stuff, man. Kids, family life, all that good stuff. A couple businesses. But yeah, the most important thing is, man, my wife and I are going on 23 years. And I just picked my oldest son up from Penn State. My little guy's in the USHL in the finals, Chicago Steel. So lots of hockey stuff and family stuff. Looking forward to a great summer. First time without any kids. And my youngest son's only a senior in high school. So it was pretty tough on Lisa and I. But it's all good. You know what I mean? All good. Down here at the Jersey Shore. The real Jersey Shore, Point Pleasant Beach.
Snooki running around with you?
You're in the South Jersey Shore, you guys, down in Margate, man.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's true, man. Oh, so you just mentioned picking Jimmy up. He had a really good year this year, Penn State.
Yeah, considering, the whole what's happening in the COVID world, that's a whole nother subject. But they got just about all their season in. They missed about 8 games, but they made the Big Ten tournament, beat Notre Dame in the first round, lost to Wisconsin in overtime, couldn't win anyway in the semifinals, and had a great year academically. And then, like I said, he just got an early invite to Tampa Bay's player development camp right after the Big Ten tournament.
Awesome!
So
that's awesome.
That's huge. You got to be jacked up.
You guys remember him as a little guy running around the flat.
Yeah.
Wait, so
just a little tight.
I tell you, Junkyard, we all the time we say like this kid. Oh, I had him as a player. All these kids from you guys like that are playing. I'm like, oh my god, like how old am I? Like watching Jimmy. Like this year, I was able to catch a few of the games. Every time you would announce where they were, I would try to watch. And Shel Samuelson's son just played in NHL. Mark Gregg. I don't know if you ever knew Gregor.
Yeah, Gregor. He's scouting.
He's scouting. His son was a first rounder last year. He's not playing in NHL yet, but just all these guys and Sammy Kappanen's son.
It seems like there's a ton of guys. A ton of guys right now with kids that are playing high level college, junior, AHL, getting to the NHL. I didn't see that many 30 years ago.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's wild. It makes me feel really old.
You are, Nast.
Well, good point. Good point. I am really old. Jimmy's older than me though. Junkyard's is 2 years. He's got to be 2 years on me. I think.
But no, man, it's all good. Like I said, my little guy's out to Chicago Steel. Actually, he put in his time. He's only a 03 senior in high school, committed to Providence. But just a happy hockey mom and dad right now. He got called up to the NTDP the last month of the season, Team USA, which is like a nice surprise. But, the two great kids, and they're just, loving what they do. And mom keeps on them about the schooling, which is, probably the biggest thing. Because at the end of the day, I never realized that you play 17 years in the NHL, you're 40 years old, you got a whole life to live,
Yeah, that's the truth. Well, they got a good mentor / coach, man.
Yeah. What's that?
So they got a good mentor / coach, man. It's like you lived it, and you experience all the game has to offer on every level. And, I don't think too many kids get that type of coaching. Right. I mean, maybe at the rink, but not at home.
Yeah. You know what? It worked out. My career actually worked out pretty good because we didn't have kids till we were a little bit older. And, obviously I was with the Devils in the beginning, then all over. And the Devils brought me back when I was 39 years old. I got to live at home. 40 years old, played with the Flyers down with you guys. It was me, got to live at home. It's, had the best of both worlds, coming back from road trip, I'd stay with Uppy. So it was great. Got my,
oh boy.
And then, so it was great the last couple of years. And then when I was done, I had a couple offers to coach in a couple different organizations, but I said, you know what? Played 17 years. My wife's been a trooper through this whole thing. Went back home, just wanted to start coaching my boys. And I wouldn't have traded the last 12 years for anything. I got to coach my boys all the way up from mites all the way till bantams and midgets, and that was if they were into hockey. I didn't really care if they were into hockey, but you know how it goes. They saw me play quite a bit on TV and live when they were younger. Funny story, actually, my oldest son saw me a ton play. My little guy, not as much as him. So Anthony played when he was 5 years old, and he told mom and dad, he told us, hey, mom and dad, I want to retire. We're like, all right, no problem. 5 years old. So he retired, did nothing. He didn't go on the ice for 2 straight years.
No way.
Not once. He did karate for a year, like unbelievable, man. And he did a couple other things, surfs all the time and all that. And it was about just after he turned 7, that middle of August, he turns to us one day, says, Mommy, Dad, I want to play hockey again. We're like, what? All right. So we put him in the house league that year just to make sure. And the rest is history.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's pretty funny, man. So, and then they're so close. Jimmy and Anthony are close. It's funny as hell. It's great to see. But like you said, Riles, I've been through it all. Been through ups and downs. Great coaches. I've been some okay coaches, some bad coaches. So I wouldn't have traded the last 12 years for anything. And pro sports is amazing. It's great, but it's tough on the family guy. You know that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've seen guys, and Nancy, you've been around it, and Riles. You see coaches, their kids, their daughter, son or daughter's 5 years old. 10 years go by, they're 15 years old. They don't know who their kids are. Right. And it's not on purpose. It's just the pro lifestyle. So I'm very happy with the call that I made just to,
yeah, I remember
coach the boys, and go from there.
I remember you almost got back with us for the second year in Philly, and it didn't work out, unfortunately. And then, I remember you saying, well, I'm going to, when we would catch up, you had started doing that. You could take care of coaching the boys and that. And I'm like, well, I know they're going to have the neatest lockers wherever they go to play. Hey, Riggs.
Oh yeah.
And like, I tell you what I should have done, Junkyard. I should have hired you with me. You're as anal as I was about the room, everything being straight, but I never had to go near your stall.
It's great. A funny story, because people ask me all the time, what's it like being an NHL locker room every day? I'm like, listen, guys, you walk in, man, everything's right in order, no matter what NHL team you're on, man. If there's one piece of tape in your garbage that day, they give you a new garbage, like everything. That's why it's the NHL, the top level. It's pretty cool. It's amazing. And, that's just, for whatever reason, I've been that way my whole life. Right. So,
yeah.
I get about that.
I get that. My dad is when I first started my very first year, I was in Florida with the Panthers, the inaugural season there. And, I thought this guy was out of his mind. I couldn't understand. I mean, I thought this place is clean. The locker room's clean. He'd come around. He's like, got a white glove on. This is not the Kleenex box needs to be all the way over to the left in the stall. I'm like, holy cow, man. But then I realized once I finally was able to be a head guy, why. And then I turned into that. And I know kids worked for me in the minor leagues were probably like, dude, you are effed up, man. Like, there is something wrong. Like I've got the socks, the stripes on the socks under the pants. They've got to be perfect, and they're like, no one really sees them. I'm like, I do. I don't care. I want to leave, but you were a guy, and Riley and I can't remember who we had on that we were talking about. It might have been Hartsey.
I think it was Hartsey,
Scott Hartnell. I was like, the funniest thing was like, I never had to touch your stall. The day you got there, you saw how it was hung, and I never ever had to go to your stall. But our favorite part was lifting up underneath in your little gray shorts, the little folded up, the little gray tees, softy tees, folded up, and then the socks. Hey, and I'll never forget. I know I said it with Scotty Hartnell, but I remember you saying to me, "Hey, get any more of these shorts?" And I'm like, "Bro, these are like 80s, man." He's like, I'm like, because he says to me, but listen, this fucker, he says to me, the one right when he first got there, he's like, "Hey, do you have any of these shorts?" I'm like, "No, I got shorts that actually kind of go down to your knees now, like the guys kind of wear longer shorts." And he's like, "Ah, man." I'm like, "I don't even know if I can find those things." So the next day, here comes Junkyard. He's got about 4 pair. Well, I thought you didn't have any. Well, I got a couple at home. And so we could put them in all the different bags. Cause we had the road bag, the morning skate bag, the game bag, and then the game bag at home, and then the skate zone. And so he ends up having these, but he asked me about 3 times, "You think we can get any?" I'm going to need them here when I'm done, but they were always,
we searched out the company, man. We found them. They sent them to us. I think they were down in Alabama or something. That's where the company was from. I remember that.
They're kind of, I don't know if you guys, even in the NBA, they're kind of coming back where the shorts aren't as long anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's too funny.
Somebody's calling.
That was my son. That was Jimmy Dowd. That was Jimmy Dowd Jr. That was my son. He's
Jimmy. What's up, brother? We'll get him on soon. Don't worry. Tell him he'll be on.
Yeah, but that's a great story, man. Another good story is I used to get my chops busted my last few years wearing Bauer 2000s because I was grandfathered in. They were still making the Bauer 2000, but these are the best skates ever made. Yeah. So by the way, I found like 3 pairs. We were cleaning out a bunch of stuff like 4 or 5 years ago. My wife's like, "Come on, we got so much hockey stuff here. What can we get rid of?" One of those. I'm like, okay. Found 3 brand new pairs that I had stockpiled my last couple years.
Wow.
So they're the best.
Can't get rid of those.
They're still the best skates ever made, man.
The gray shorts are in the boxes too, probably.
Yeah.
Open them up. It made me laugh, but it was funny as you just open up your stall. If I had to get something, and everything was just so neat, and I'm like, I love this guy. I loved you anyway, but it was just so hilarious how they were just perfect, and I'm like,
oh yeah,
he should be an equipment guy after when he's done. But
and a funny story about when I came 41 years old, tried to make the team. I look back on that. I didn't really work out hard that much that summer, and Homer calls me in. He's like, "Yeah, hey," and I loved Homer, man. He was great. He was the one that gave me the opportunity the year before, and you're not going to make it. I was like, all right. I went right from Voorhees right to Westchester, PA. My son was playing in, the Mite Silver Sticks. So I just went right to start coaching my son right after that NHL camp. I knew it was no big deal. It was a great run, man. You kidding me?
Man.
College hockey, let alone NHL for 17 years. Crazy.
Well, speaking of Jimmy, your college career, I mean, what a career. You won a national championship, if I'm not mistaken. But we were looking and we saw you had 274 points in 181 games in college. That's that's huge, man.
Yeah. You know what? My story, I grew up in Brick, New Jersey, never left. When I grew up back in the day in Brick, New Jersey, you had the Rockets, New Jersey Rockets up north, and the little Flyers down south. Those were like the 2 teams that recruited and had all the money, and everybody, all the best players wanted to go to. And I never left Brick. You know what I mean? We'd play those guys. We'd lose 9-1, 10-2. If we ever beat them, we'd beat them 2-1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somehow we got lucky, but it was one of those, I never thought. I was just growing up playing hockey because I loved it. You know what I mean? And I'm a firm believer one person could change your life forever. For me, that was Frank Anselon at Lake Superior, and it just, that was the perfect time in my life. I knew nothing about college hockey. I was just a kid from Brick playing hockey and baseball, trying to stay out of trouble, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sports was my outlet. And then these guys saw me at the Chicago Showcase. The first year ever, New Jersey took a team to the Chicago Showcase. Was my junior year going into my senior year. I went out there, and that's when Lake State originally saw me. And Frank Anselon was from the East Coast. He always wanted to get East Coast players. But if you weren't from Massachusetts, Minnesota, Chicago, or Detroit area, they didn't even look at you.
Yeah.
And then he took a chance on me, and the rest is history, just with the perfect timing in my life, my high school coach, Bob Oriam, a lot of people don't know this, man. Great story, though. Like, I grew up with basically nothing. Like, I was leaving for college, and he took me to the store. I mean, I couldn't tell anybody this for a while because it's like illegal,
Yeah.
It shouldn't be. But he bought me shoes. He bought me a sport coat. He bought me pants, a belt. Like, I didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Going to college, I was going with these nasty sweats, But those guys, Frank Anselon, Jeff Jackson, Jim Rock was our assistant coach. And then my senior year, Angelo left. It was Jeff Jackson, Jim Rock, and Ron Ralston. And Lake State was the best thing that ever happened to me. You know what I mean? As far as hockey goes, because that's what, really put me on the map. The Devils tried to get me to sign after my junior year. I didn't even think of it. I wanted to go back, graduate, try to win another national championship. Like, it was awesome. I loved every second of it. You know what I mean? And I needed that structure in my life. Angelo, you talk about regimented, him and Jeff Jackson, it was like boom, 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 boom. It was perfect for me. And I played better for guys that were, up your ass. Like, hey, get your head out of your ass. What the F are you doing? Let's go, Dowd. I respond to that better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, most people need that, but
they do. Yeah. Especially in a sport like hockey, right?
Like Brian Sutter. Played for Brian Sutter on Calgary. I love them.
Oh, yeah.
I hate him, but I love that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. We've kind of touched on this a little bit, how much, not just the game, but the kids coming up, how, I'm not saying everyone, but the difference in the attitude, the spoiled, this is what I should be getting,
entitled.
Like you said, you have to, and I've seen this change when I was still in the game. Like, you almost have to watch how you're talking to NHL, like to kids coming up. Like, I mean, you should, if it's a coach, as long as they're fair, if they're hard on you, man, they're hard on you. Like, take it, man. Like, I don't know. It's easy.
That's what it, what it is. It's a young league now. Like, you look at these guys, like there's not many 35, 36, 37, 38-year-olds playing in the league anymore. Well, like, when we came in, and I hate to sound like that, but it's true. If you had 2 rookies on your team, that was a lot.
Yeah.
Look at all those guys that started in the minor leagues that were great players. You know what I mean? But you've had 2 rookies on your team. That was a ton. I don't remember anybody ever having 3 rookies on the team at the same time. You know what I mean? You just put your time in, went to the minors, worked your way up. And obviously there's always, the top guys that, or no matter what, aren't going to start in the minors. But for the most part, everybody started in the minors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you about that.
And it was a veteran league,
So you leave college, you obviously were a scorer. I mean, you put points up like crazy. You go to Albany because, like you said, they're not.
My first 2 years were
Utica. Sorry, Albany, Utica, and you actually had points there too. So, I mean, were you a first, second line player there?
Yeah, you know what? So I came out. I signed a big ticket out of college too. It was a big contract back then, and Lamorella, the Devils, they were loaded at center. They had Neil Broughton. They had Bernie Nichols. They had Corey Millen. They had Bobby Holik, and I can't forget. They were loaded at center. Started, and Lou was famous for starting everybody in the minors anyway.
Right.
Scott Niedermayer, obviously different story, but everybody else basically started in the minor leagues, went down there. Funny story, Herb Brooks. So Lou hires Herb Brooks because there was about 7 or 8 of us that panned out from the 1987, 88, 89 draft. And Lou brought Herb Brooks in to be our head coach in Utica, New York. I mean, come on, Herb Brooks, he's not going to be here, right? Tom McVie was the head coach for the Devils.
Yeah.
Oh, man, he was great. So Herb,
they
hired Herb Brooks basically to teach us about the pro lifestyle and this and that. And Herb was I'm like, I'm getting sent down to the minors. Herb Brooks, my coach, man.
Yeah.
I'm a USA kid. It was great.
Yeah.
But it was like, I led the team in scoring, one of the top scorers. I got 1 game up that year. The next year, have a great camp, got sent down again. Robin Fedoruk was the head coach. Herb moved up, got 1 game up that year, was leading scorer again. And in my 3rd year training camp, that was when Settlemyre came in. And I try to tell people this story all the time. Just stick with it. Don't burn any bridges and just work hard and keep your mouth shut, right? So my 3rd training camp, I came in having a great camp, and that was back when there was like 80 guys would come into camp.
Yep.
And they would cut it down. And that was back when you had 12 exhibition games. These kids don't realize we used to have 10 to 12 exhibition games. College kids, my first year coming out, I'm exhausted after the exhibition games, man. And we got 80 games to play. What's going on here? Junior kids had a total advantage, So I go to camp my 3rd year. Settlemyre comes in with Larry Robinson, Jacques Caron, having a great camp. And there was 8 lines still left. And it was like 7 games into it. I didn't play 1 preseason game yet. I'm like, what's going on? And how you come in and you look on the board, don't read into it.
See what your name is.
I'm on the 8th line, man. I'm on the 8th line. I'm like, I'm not reading into this. Like, come on, man, really? But then like the 8th game, it was basically, I think we had 10 games that year, preseason. The 8th game, it was against the Rangers, Madison Square Garden. He put me with me, Ben Henderson, and Brian Sullivan. And we were basically ticketed to go down right after that game. I had a great game. I stayed up the whole rest of camp right to the end, right? And then I'm getting sent down. And it's a funny story. I'm in there with Jacques Lemaire and Larry Robinson. I'm like, hey, guys, come on. Like, I'm ready. My third year, I'm leading scorer 2 years in a row. I'm ready, and I wasn't, I guess I got them a little perturbed, right? So Jock finally says, Jimmy, it was broken English. He goes, Jimmy, this is preseason. Me and Larry can play in preseason games. So I'm like, I go, yeah, I get it. I go, I'm just letting you know I'm ready. I go, guys, I'm not going to go down with a bad attitude. I'm just like, I'm ready to play, right? So I it was hilarious when he said that. He was probably right. Larry Robinson probably still could have played.
Yeah, right.
That was 93, 94. I get sent down. I tear it up right off the bat. I get called up. I scored my first goal against Quebec Nordiques in my first game up that year. That was the game when Mike Peluso fought Tony Twist, remember, in Quebec. And Mike Peluso's helmet came off, and they're on the way down, and Twister hit him one more time.
Yeah.
His head hit the ice.
Oh, I remember that.
The building went silent. It was crazy. That was my
first
game up that year, and I scored a goal.
Wow.
And then the rest is history. So I was up for a month. They were still loaded at center, right? I get sent back down. I'm like, all right, nobody, I'll go back down, tear it up again. Funny story. You guys will love this one. So we're sitting there. This was when with the third year in Albany. I was living with Kevin Dean, me, him, Ben Hankinson, Mike Bodnerchuk, and we're out all night, right? Get home, whatever. The phone's ringing. Our house phones. We didn't have cell phones.
Yeah, right.
The house phone's ringing from like 6:30 till 8 o'clock for an hour and a half. None of us are getting up to get it. None of us. Finally, I'm like, motherfucker, what's going on here, man? I pick up the phone, like basically no sleep. Robert Vittorik's like, Jimmy, where the fuck are you? What's going on? I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, listen, you just got called up. Get your fucking ass ready. Let's go. I'm like, all right. So, and the story goes, I got up, got in there. I flew to Pittsburgh. The team was playing in Pittsburgh. And that year was 93, 94. The Devils hadn't lost more than 2 games in a row once the whole year. And the story goes, remember Johnny Weisbrod? He was our general manager for the Albany River Rats. And Lou wanted to bring Dave and Emma up that day. And he was fighting back. He's going, take Jimmy Dowd. Jimmy's playing better. He's the best player right now. And finally, Lou said, all right, fuck it. Just bring Dowd up. He's only coming up to practice. And he's going right back. Because Bernie Nichols' son, remember Bernie Nichols had a son that passed away.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Like a year old. So Bernie had to fly back out to California. So I'm like, obviously, working on no sleep. I fly into Pittsburgh. We have the team has a practice, I had a sick practice, like unbelievable. Everything just freaking. I don't play
little guilty, little guilty,
right? So I don't play that night, right? They lose. It's the first time all year they lost 3 games in a row, right? They lose. They were playing Pittsburgh back to back that night in Pitt, and then the next night in New Jersey. So they lose. Jock's pissed. We come back to Jersey. They keep me up. He puts me in. I get a goal and 3 assists, and the rest is history.
Wow.
Come on.
Like, that's how I got to the NHL, like full time. Like, it's crazy how stuff works. So going back to your whole point, I was a scorer. But, I try to tell people sooner or later, when you're not the best anymore, you're not scoring. You got to find a way to fit in. There were so many guys that are 25, 26, 28 years old when they're not top 6 forward or something. They whine and bitch and they're out.
100%.
You know me. I just want to be on a team. I love winning. And the best was, when you have success early on, we lost to the Rangers in the conference final, won a cup. I could play on the first line. I could play on the fourth line. I could penalty kill, power play, whatever. I was just a good, reliable player. And I played 17 years. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
And so many guys, it's all mental. It's so true. All the cliches you hear, after a while, it's just mental.
Oh, yeah. No, 100%.
Totally mental.
Yeah.
If you work hard, have a good attitude, be a good teammate, that's all that matters. You can play for a long time.
Yeah, you've proven that.
Was it difficult for you? Like, I'm not sure what kind of style you guys played it in college. With the points, I'm imagining you were. They were. How it's. When everybody called the Devils the trap team and all that. Yeah. They
called us a clutch and grab team at Lake State. But come on, man, we destroyed everybody.
Well, I was going to say the points. I mean, your points alone are like. Yeah, man. I mean, so. Crazy. But what I was going to ask you is, so you go to Utica and then Albany for a little bit as well. Yeah. Your leading scorer, was it difficult when you got called up because they were playing more of that trap, or were you guys playing that in Albany as well, or in Utica?
No, that wasn't the case at all. Like, when I got called up to the Devils, I was on the 2 cup run years there, 93, 94, 94, 95. It was the best. I was on the third line, which is the best line to be on the NHL because nobody checks you. The first 2 lines canceled. It was me, Billy Guerin, and Zella Kukin. I mean, think about that. Line.
Yeah, right.
It was there. And Jacques Lemaire's like, Jimmy, this is your job. Oh, no, Billy, this is your job. You go up and down the ice and shoot the puck. Zelly, You go drive the net. Jimmy, you get the puck past to Billy. He shoots. You stay high.
Yeah, that's all right.
It worked.
Couple good players to play on a third line with, man.
Yeah, right. And poor Zelly, if
man.
he didn't have that eye injury, he would have been unbelievable for 15 years.
Yeah.
He's one of only 3 guys. Look it up. He's one of only 3 guys, trivia question, in the NHL history to score 20 goals in the AHL in the same year and the NHL.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
That's unbelievable.
That is.
Think about that.
I forgot about that eye injury.
League in 1 year.
Yeah, that is impressive.
Billy Guerin was one of my favorite players.
Yeah.
Always. I got to know him a little bit way back in it was 96, and we had the World Cup.
Yes.
And US had the US team had the camp for a week in Philly. So I worked with him a little bit, and I got to know him pretty good. And then it's funny, I would run into him because he's from the area, or his wife. So I would see him around. But anyway, like, what a great guy. I love the way he played. And he's turned it around in many there. Like he's done a great job there. And then, they got a fucking good team this year.
Yeah, they're good, man. And they just get there at the right time. And he's got more about him. I played with him in Edmonton as well. And also going back to Lake State, it's Frank Angelo, man. Don't let anybody tell you any difference about Lake State. If it weren't for Frank Angelo, Lake State wouldn't even be on the map. He built that team into a powerhouse, and the best was we didn't get our first blue chip recruit there till my junior year. Wow. Like he grabbed me from Jersey. He didn't know how I was going to turn out. Tim Breslin, from the USHL, Doug LaPrade from Thunder Banter, all these guys that weren't tier 1 players, so to speak. But our first blue chip recruit we ever got was Doug Waite. My junior year, he came in as a freshman, and all those guys like him, they either went to Michigan or Michigan State.
Yeah,
right.
And his dad came up on the visit. They loved how Angelo, what he was doing, how he's developing guys to get to the next level, and it was no bullshit. You know what I mean? And we were on the power play together, and we just worked magic. I mean, he's he was the first blue chip recruit we ever got there, and you could tell right off the bat that he wasn't going to be there 4 years.
Right.
My junior and senior year, he was a freshman and sophomore. Then again, I got to play with him in Edmonton as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's awesome.
But again, it just goes back to, what do you want to do? You want to play in the NHL? You want to whine and bitch and you're not a scorer anymore? Or you go home.
Right.
I chose to play in the NHL.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Exactly. Riles. I mean, how many of you guys freaking score? I mean, tons of guys like yourself scoring juniors. Then you get to a certain point. Oh, you got to figure out how to fit in. Dave Schultz, I got to know him that last year in Philly. His story is amazing. Man, he was a 50-goal scorer in juniors.
Yeah.
He's down in the minors, has a fight. He never really fought before. All of a sudden, he knocks some guy out, and the rest is history. You know what I mean? I've got 2 cups. He's one of the most famous guys in all of hockey.
I know, right? Yeah, it's amazing, but it's such a simple thing to understand if you're willing to buy into it, right? It's like, how bad do you want it? Do you want to be a great American League player and be okay with that, or do you want to be like an average or below average NHL player? I guess it all depends on what they want to do. There's nothing wrong with either or.
Yeah.
But
or go to Europe,
Yeah, or go to Europe, and exactly.
It's like the NHL, man. Nasty, the NHL. Like, it's the NHL, man. It doesn't you can't go any higher.
Yeah,
nowhere to go.
That's right.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, thought process for sure. And the guys that, are willing to adapt and take on, say, a lesser role and really putting their ego aside to some degree, right? I mean, it's humbling, right? I mean, you're not good enough to play here, but you're good enough to play here. And then you have to be okay with that, right? And obviously you did that for 17 years.
Yep. And you got to remember, right? There's 30, now there's 31 teams, going to be 32. You got every team looking at you, you know what I mean? Yep. Every team. I'll never forget what Robert Torek said to me, because it was my second year. He was our head coach in Utica, and he knew we like to have our fun and all that stuff, and he's like, he called me up to the bus one time coming over from Rochester. I'll never forget it. Rochester back to his Jimmy. Do you realize if you have 3 good weeks, your life, you can change your life forever? I'm like, I don't know. What do you mean? I didn't really know what he meant, He goes, just stay focused and you could have 3 good weeks and your life could change forever. And basically that's what happened to me. It happens to a lot of guys that aren't necessarily, I was an 8th round draft pick, you know what I mean? Back when there was 12 rounds.
Right.
How many 8th rounders ever made it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just stick with it. Got to be the right place, the right time. It only takes one human being to like you, change your life.
Yeah, that's the truth. You see that a lot too in playoffs, where guys get the shot in playoffs to get the call up. They had a great season, and then they either dominate or they have a really strong playoffs and they sign their big ticket, and then they never really live up to it. But it happens.
But then they play an extra 6, 7 years, 8 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You're on the map. You're on the map for sure. Jimmy, I found a couple interesting little tidbits about you. I didn't realize that you'd 2 times in your career you'd been traded and never played a game for that team, and traded within the same day or shortly thereafter.
Yeah. So the first one was it was a 3-way deal with Jersey, Hartford, and Vancouver. I went to Hartford. Jocelyn Lemieux came to New Jersey, and then Jeff Brown went from Vancouver to Hartford. I went to Hartford to Vancouver.
Yeah. Oh, so it was actually part of the same trade. It wasn't 2 separate trades.
Yeah, it was like a 3-way deal, right? Yeah, that was that. And then I actually have we got 2 NHL records, by the way. It's pretty funny. My kids laugh about it. One is 10 the most teams played on by an American-born player, 10. Right? I think Silly's got the record. He played on 12 teams overall, or 11.
Silly, yeah. Mike Sillinger.
And the other was the 2 fastest goals in NHL history. Me and Richard Park.
Really?
Parksy.
Oh, dude, Parksy. Oh, yeah, another Flyers guy.
Yeah.
We're the Wild. We're with the Minnesota Wild, and it was 2-2. I scored the go-ahead goal with under a minute left, against the Hawks. And then the next opening face-off, Parksy comes out. We're winning 3-2. They pulled their goalie, dropped the puck. He shot it right from center ice, right in the net. 2 fastest goals in NHL history.
Really? Wow.
But the other one, Rouse, going back to your point, the other one was Nashville. So after, I forget what it was, but Nashville signed me. That was when I had a little blip in my career. And that's when I got into the whole nutrition. When I was 28 years old, changed everything. I cut out drinking during the season, whatever. And I got into nutrition, my wife and I signed with Nashville, the Predators, and I was having a great camp. There's another story you'll love, man. I'm having a great camp, right? I started out slow there, but I was having a really good camp. So we're getting ready to go on a plane to go play Carolina Hurricanes in a preseason game. And it was me, Michael Stalenkov, and I forget who it was. Just me and him. Coach calls us in. Barry Trotz calls us over. Hey, guys, you got traded. We're like, oh, boy, where? He paused. He didn't want to tell us. It was Edmonton. I'm like, oh. So that was me, Michael Stalenkov, for Greg DeVries, Drake Barahowski, and Eric Michaud. Those 3 went to Nashville. We went there, but it worked out great because I had a great role because Kevin Lowe was the head coach. McTavish was the assistant. And I played against them 93, 94. They loved me. You know what I mean? I ended up going there, and that's what got me back on the NHL scene. You know what I mean? Had a great role. Played 4th line penalty kill. I was actually played point on the power play. How about that? 4th line center, but I killed penalties and played point on the power play.
Wow.
That
don't happen very often.
No. So McTavish and Lowe, I remember in 1994, the conference finals, man, you fucking old man, what are you still playing for? Go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? McTavish, no helm. People forget, man. He had no helm. Playing against this guy that I watched growing up, facing off. His line went against my line the whole series. Rubbing his helmet against me, and he's an ex-Flyer as well.
Yeah. Wow.
But like I said, man, it just goes back to if you can teach kids at a young age, man, just persevere. And the only 2 things that really matter are working hard and being a good teammate. Yeah. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Wow.
That's it, right? Saves for a goalie doesn't mean shit. Just work hard, be a good teammate, help your team win. Nothing else matters.
Yeah. You're so right.
You think Wayne Gretzky talks about his points he had? No. All his teammates and how his team won championships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Speaking, it's funny you just said that because I wanted to ask you about something. So we had a kid come in. Riles, actually, Jimmy, you might know. Remember Ryan Patolny?
Oh, yeah. He was there.
So,
he was supposed to be the center that year.
Right. So Potsy played many, but he was funny. He used to tell us that when he was playing in college, you were in Minnesota for so long. And they would, for practice, some days everybody had the Jimmy Dowd tuck. You know how he tucked the jersey?
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah,
like
sure.
Gratz, you and Gratz.
Like
I mean, hey. But it was so funny. Potsy's like, oh, dude, we used to always do the Jimmy Dowd tuck. That was it. Today's practice, you got to be tucked in. And I just always thought that was funny.
Paul Martin. I became real good friends with Paulie Martin because when the Devils brought me out, you pulled the pants up high and tucked the shirt in, man.
Yeah.
Good style.
I love that, man.
Styling, man, right?
Only a select few can rock that, and you're one of them.
But I'll tell you, man, the one people ask me all the time, like growing up where I grew up, it was like the borderline because the Devils didn't move here till 82. So we hated the Flyers growing up. I was on the other side of that Route 70 on the way up of North Jersey, the Rangers fan, and then we're a Devils fan when the Devils moved here. And then going to play for the Flyers my last year, man. Like when I tell you our whole family, my father like hates the Flyers. Like that's how it should be though, right?
Yeah.
Just hated them, you know. But going down, that was one of my favorite years, man, because that team was sick. The year before that, 06, 07, remember?
The worst year ever.
Well, the Flyers came in last place, 15th place in the East.
We were out of it in early December.
Oh my God.
That's how bad it was.
And next year, it's me, Riles, Sammy Kapanen. I mean, it was great. It was a blast. I went to camp without a contract.
Yep.
You know? Homer said, listen, if you come in here and do what you do, I'll get you a contract. I said, no problem. I'm not going to go anywhere else. You know, because I personally called Homer that summer and said, hey, I heard you tried to trade for me. I want to come play for you this year.
Oh, nice.
We're over the salary cap. He goes, he was looking at Mike Eastwood, somebody else, and they were looking for a guy like Mike Eastwood and myself, you know, a guy that play a depth player and all that. I said, listen, I'll come and make your team, you know, no problem. He goes, if you do what you do, I'll make room for you. And lo and behold, they made room for me. It was one of the best years I've ever had.
That was a fun.
We had a great year of everything on that.
Yes.
Team, man.
Yes.
We lost in the conference finals to the Penguins in 5 games. Tiemann got hurt. He was out that whole series. It just
Coburn got hurt. Gagne was hurt. I think Carter was hurt too, if I'm not mistaken. I mean,
that was such a fun year, man.
It was an amazing year.
That was one of the best group of guys I've ever played with.
The up dog had come in and Loops. I mean, what a crew. God, looking back, Ash, you know, all those guys, God, I remember
Ash was still playing, Jason Smith,
right.
Gator. Someone, I think Richie was on the other day. I think I saw something with Mike Richards, and they asked him about some captains. I think it was Richie, but he was just like Jason Smith, like this guy played. I mean, Gator played with his fingers are all broken, 2 broken clavicles.
Yep.
And I think I've said this before too, but I'll never forget. I went into the medical area and I'd asked the trainer, I said, hey, am I taking Gator's gear? And Gator heard me. He's laying on the table and he's got ice all over
everywhere.
And he's just laying there and he just looks like he's, you know, in so much pain, but obviously he says he's fine. And he goes, you're taking my gear. Why wouldn't you? I'm playing. And I'm like, oh, yep. Okay, Gator, you got it. But I mean, looking at him, I'm like, we knew he had broken. He got hit by someone. I can't remember. But anyway,
other dude, Jonesy. Remember Joe Jonesy?
Oh yeah, Randy Jones.
Like that team was a freaking great team.
It was so fun too. Like you talk, like we had fun. Like that was
on and off the ice.
Fun team,
man. Group, and it showed on the ice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And, you know, from my perspective, Jimmy, that was my first full year in the NHL. And obviously you were my centerman, but having a guy like you, not just for myself, like what I observed, but just having like you as a pillar on that, say that 4th line center, penalty killer, it was like, you know, having a guy 17 years in the NHL in that position and humbled. And, you know, again, you bring the attitude, the energy, the hard work, you're the first guy at the rink. Like there's something to be said about having that veteran presence in that slotted in that position. Like it's hard to like bring in a young guy and expect to have that leadership, you know, coming from the 4th line. But, you know, you certainly helped me out. But I know guys that were on, you know, 1st, 2nd, 3rd line, obviously had a ton of respect for you, just the way you carried yourself and what you brought to the rink every single day. And that's to me, it was like a huge part of the glue of that team.
Yeah. Like I said, that'd be tough for a young guy to do. That's why a lot of successful teams have those types of guys. You need it. You know, a guy that just loves the game, wants to help the team win, has had success, you know, during his career. You know, I mean, just figure it out. Because if you have success early on in the playoffs and you win and you play for a long time. You know what I mean? Everybody's looking for that come the trade deadline. Everybody's looking for who's that guy, another glue guy, a depth guy, you know, because everybody knows you just don't need 20 guys.
Yeah.
You need 24, 25 guys that can step right in and do that. And especially, like I said, that was your first full year, man. But we with Kapanen, that was a great line.
Yeah, it was.
We had a little bit of everything, man. You know, me and Kapanen can go out and say whatever we wanted.
Yeah.
Hey man, like my two favorite left wingers are you and Matt Johnson, man. I became great buddies because it was me, him, and Andrew Burnett in Minnesota.
Oh man,
it was our line for 2 or 3 years, man. But it was great. He'd be like you. He was like, guys, I'm feeling good tonight. You know, I'll never forget you and Matty Johnson. Like, you know, you'd be like, hey, Jimmy, I'm feeling really good tonight. You can do whatever you want out there.
Yeah.
That's a good feeling, man.
Front row seats to all that is great, man. But that was the game inside the game. There's not much of that anymore,
No.
It's just hockey's changed quite a bit. There's still some of it, but I mean, like the playoffs, there's basically none of that anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Once in a while, like what happened with the Rangers the other day and all that. Once in a while, it gets back to that. But like everybody knows, there's a purpose for it at the right time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
The bottom line is you're supposed to intimidate the other team. That's what you're supposed to do in hockey from day one.
Yeah.
You're trying to intimidate the other guy's top players. You're trying to intimidate ours, and it's a game within the game.
Yeah.
Which makes it exciting, and the fans love it. Simple as that. They love everything.
Yeah.
They love that the most.
Yeah, well, for sure,
Yeah.
the emotion, right? And I think this year, I think because of COVID, and then you bring in like the like that real division play, it just brings out the rivalry. So guys just get extra emotional, and I mean, there's more fights this year. We've talked about several times on this on the pod this year, just how much that's increased. But rightfully so. It's like a playoff series. Every time you play the same team over and over and over again, that it's going to brew. But that's the beautiful part. We're not talking about going back to the Broad Street Bullies, but you're never going to remove that emotion out of the game. That real, that you said, that competitiveness and that willingness to intimidate in some way, shape, or form. The game has changed, but I don't see it ever going. I
don't think it's going to go totally away. No, you're right. It's not going to go totally away, but it's one of those things. If you're going to open your mouth sooner or later, even if you're not a fighter, you're going to have to answer the bell sooner or later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't ever have to fight, but sooner or later, if you keep yapping, sooner or later, you're going to have to.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
That happened to me a couple times. You know what I mean? It's like, I remember with the Wild playing against the Blues, it was Mellenby, Dallas Drake, and I'm just sitting there, because we surprised a lot of teams that year. It was in Minnesota, and we were playing them the next night in St. Louis. And I'll never forget, I'm just chirping away, we're winning, and I'm calling those guys, all-stars, bullshit, whatever, Mellenby and Drake, and I knew I went over the line. We were playing the next night. I'm like, oh shit. I know, I'm going to have to do something. I wasn't a fighter, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like you said, there's a purpose for it, you know what I mean? And it's from day one. That's the best part about hockey. It's every single sport combined into one.
Yeah.
It's got finesse. It's got toughness. It's got, it's skill. It's got everything. Everything you can imagine in one sport. When people, there's no in between. You either want nothing to do with hockey, or you love it and you're a diehard and you're in it for the rest of your life. Yeah. And the guys are great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the culture. I mean, you got grown men. Talking about NHL hockey, grown men fighting for a rubber biscuit, right? I mean, it's like you're using your body to manipulate. Using your stick. I mean, there's a lot of variables that eventually ruffle feathers. And then I think that's what that's what people love, right? I mean, it's like it's a human condition to experience. The end result of something like that brewing over, when you got gladiators fighting, literally fighting. I mean, fighting for a puck position and the whole bit. So obviously the game needed to change, but I feel like it's maybe changed a little bit too much, where now it's like it ignored the reason why there was those guys in the first place. The lack of respect probably has increased, in my opinion, cheap shots, but
I'll give you a perfect example, guys. So people ask me, because I played so long, what's the difference from when you first came in to maybe 10 years into your last year? I'll tell you what the difference is. Excuse me. When I was with the Devils, we had Scott Stevens, Kenny Danico, Randy McKay, Mike Peluso. I mean, Lemieux, even though he wasn't like he didn't have to fight, he had to, he didn't fight, but like toughest team. We would go every time we played the Flyers, we'd go down, drive down the night before, stay in the Ritz-Carlton, whatever, get up the next day, have our pregame skate, come back to the hotel. Then we'd leave. The bus would leave at 4:30 for a 7:00 game. We'd be on the bus, and you couldn't hear a pin drop going into Philly,
right?
With Scott Stevens and all them. And then my last season, 07, 08, no, 06, 07, when the Devils brought me back, in 08, 09, it was like going into Philly was like playing a youth hockey game. Nobody's worried about anything. And the Flyers back then had who they had? They had Tocchet, they had Dave Brown, they had, the list goes on and on. Like, and not that those guys were scared, but they're freaking nervous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My point is, back that my last 2 years, 06, 07, and 07, 08, it was just like no one's worried about anything, just going to play a youth hockey game for the most part. That's the biggest difference. You know what I mean? like we had Riles and they had Cam Janssens and all, but it was like you said, that's when it sort of started going a different way.
Yeah.
And now, and there was, even then that last year, so many guys, cheap shots where if something happened, it was taken care of right away, and they were getting the characters out of the game. That's the biggest thing. Like, come on, man, let's get one thing straight, Riles. The guys like you are one of the most popular parts of hockey. You know what I mean? But like you said, it got to one point where just their tough guy was fighting their tough guy, and there was no meaning to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
We don't want to go back there, but we got to go somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
Yeah,
Sure,
no question.
These guys are like specimens, right? I mean, they put so much time and effort and resources into, building out their physical bodies and becoming like elite athletes, not just elite hockey players, elite athletes. And the game is so fast. I mean, you got to be able to protect them somewhat. You know what I mean? It's like if you just have this neutral game and you expect the refs to catch everything, it's not realistic. You know what I mean? And I think this year has proven it. For some of the stuff that's happened. And if you can find a guy like a Tom Wilson or Ryan Reeves, and there's only a few guys that can really kind of play that role, but actually, legitimately play a regular shift and contribute like that. There's got to be a happy medium where you can kind of neutralize some of the stuff where star players aren't getting hurt for unnecessary.
Yep, exactly. Like I said, the whole thing with the Rangers and the Capitals, I'm not a big fan of him smashing the guy in the ice, whatever. But I mean, the Rangers had nobody to answer. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like nobody. And so maybe who knows? And you know how it goes every year. If a smaller skilled team wins the Stanley Cup, then everybody goes, nobody can think
right.
Scouts, they can't think for themselves, right?
Yeah.
If a small skilled teams win, then everybody's going to go for the next couple years to a small scale. But then once a big team wins, then everybody goes back to bigger guys.
I feel like there haven't been a ton of small skilled teams to win a cup lately. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, not at all. Like Tampa won it last year. There's you're going to get, but
they are. But they also had,
Oh, did they have a great combination?
Yeah. They had guys that play hard and physical.
Oh yeah. No,
I'm not talking about fighting.
No, yeah, you still listen. I think Brian Burke said it best, man. The bottom line is, no matter what way you go, the team with the most men is going to win the Stanley Cup. Simple as that.
100%.
Doesn't matter how big or small you are.
Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah,
that's the truth.
Most men is going to win the Stanley Cup, and I don't think that'll ever change, no matter how big or small you are.
I meant to say physical.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even when Washington won a few years ago, they were a physical team, man. And Vegas, they're playing against Vegas. Chiefs team, Craig Berube, St. Louis.
Yeah.
Physical.
They were
physical
a heavy team. Yeah.
They're hard to play against. And that's what you want,
I was psyched for him, man. Psyched for the Chief, man. That guy, he's one of the nicest guys I've ever met in hockey. And talk about back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Rouse, he had to be one of your mentors, right? In that organization, man.
Absolutely.
He's a great guy on and off the ice. You're not going to find a better person.
No, we talked about this before. Like, I wasn't overly invested in the NHL up until that run. And I was all on Chiefs, board. I mean, 100%. I was watching playoffs fully, totally engaged because of Chief. I mean, you root, he's a guy you root for, right? I mean, he's a great guy. Obviously, besides him being one of the toughest guys that ever played, he just commanded respect. And then anybody you talk to within that locker room, I know Nasty's told me before, there wasn't one guy in that locker room that didn't like him, whether they were playing first line, fourth line, or scratch. And that's just a compliment to him. So, like you said, I mean, I was extremely excited to see him go the distance. Yeah. Especially that season. I mean, they were last place and turned that ship around.
January
in Philly.
January 5th, I think, right?
In Philly, they started that turnaround. And hey, Junkyard, you know what happened? The boys went out the night before and they got in one.
Team building.
Right.
Hey,
that's what did it.
Hey, it's old school.
Every once in a while. Not all the time.
Not all the time.
It's not a bad thing.
You can't especially what's going on in the last year. You playing every other. These guys playing 4 games a week, man.
Yeah.
It's but
every once in a while, even the GMs and the coaches that aren't into that at all, they know every once in a while a team's got to go out.
For sure.
Don't make it a habit, but hey, go out.
How shit in the bed, right? What else? How much worse can it get? He just is go do some team building, come back to the work, rink and work.
I remember a few years ago, I was still with the Flyers, and we lost 10 straight games. And I think we played at home that afternoon, flew into Calgary, and the guys were like, "It's on! We're getting it. We're getting N1." And I mean, it was It was a rodeo. We didn't play the next day, obviously, but still guys are hurt, but we went on a roll. Like I can't remember if we won every game on that West Coast trip, but it was like 4-0-1 or something. Like and it kind of turned to see, and we ended up making the playoffs that year too. And then we had a year where we won 10 in a row and didn't make the playoffs, which is just crazy to think.
There's something in the water down in South Jersey.
Yeah, man, it's unbelievable
going on, man. Injuries and stuff, but again, going back to the 07-08 year, that was an amazing run. But there's something down in the I bust chops, man. There's something down in the water, South Jersey and Philly, man. I don't know what it is. They gotta get a cup soon, man. They deserve it, man.
I know, man. I hopefully it happens soon, man. You never know. It's like
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you can attest to it, man. I mean, you gotta have everything work in your favor. You need luck. You need try to stay injury free. I mean, there's many things, obviously, we know. Hopefully, even that year, you can always make excuses, but we did make it to the conference finals that year and we were depleted. Like we had so many guys were hurt, and they were pretty key guys as well. But that happens and you got to find a way. Like teams, it happens to everyone. So, but you're right.
The Blues.
Yeah.
The first Stanley Cup in the history of the Blues. Took them how long? They came in 71, 72, I think.
Yeah.
Like, come on, it's not easy. I tell people it was so easy to win a championship. Everyone would have a little league championship. Like, what are you talking about? Like, go think about it. Every town in America has a little league.
Yeah.
Right.
There's only one little league champ a year. How many people have a little league championship? Hardly anybody. It's not easy to win a championship.
Right.
You're right.
And every single thing has to go right.
Yeah, you're right, man. It's and you were able to lift that cup, which is awesome.
Crazy. Yep.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that was just it. And that was just a team, man. It was unbelievable. Like we lost in 94. That was some people call that one of the best series ever. The 93, 94 Rangers.
Mateau's overtime.
Yeah, right. What a shit goal.
You had your guy.
Hey, I've gotten more business out of that picture. I'm sure you've seen that picture of me covering Tekin on the back door.
Yeah.
More business out of that picture than anything I've ever done. Because I'm in Ranger land over here,
Yeah, right.
Crazy, man. But yeah, everything's got to go right. But that team was just, on a mission. I mean, and then look a couple years after that, the Flyers, the teams they had, they got to the finals. They get swept by Detroit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right there. And yet there was the Flyers had some sick teams.
Yeah. No, 100%. Mr. Snyder.
Yeah. Oh man.
I mean, the man he wanted to win. He didn't care what it took.
Yep.
He just
as a Flyers fan, you can never be mad at Ed Schneider.
No,
never. He gave all the access to everything.
He did
everything.
He never said no. Like, is it going to help? Yes, sir. Get it.
And people don't realize anything. Every home game, he was in there, win or lose, shaking.
Win or lose.
Yep. Shook every player's hand and then left and gave. You know what I mean? That was an amazing guy.
That was one thing that always stood out to me. Obviously, with my dad doing this job when I was a kid, I had met Mr. Schneider a ton of times. He was always so nice to me. But I just loved the fact that he came down win or lose. So a lot of guys are rah guys. They only come down if you win.
Oh yeah.
He would be pissed. There could be nights where he was pissed. He lost 3-4 in a row. He's like, that's unacceptable. But he always came down, looked you guys in the eyes and shook your hand. And he had your back no matter what, man. Like there's so many stories about Mr. Snyder that people know, but I mean, that man was amazing.
Yeah, doing just what he did for the community in South Jersey and all the rinks and in the city, buying the Flyer skate zones, all that, man. Just a really good guy.
He was awesome.
Yeah.
Junkyard, I do need to bring this up because unfortunately I have been in the finals. My dad lost in 3 Stanley Cup finals, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I was fortunate enough the year after when Roz was here, we lost to Chicago. But in 97, 98, I ran into you for the first time. I didn't really know you. We were playing in St. John's, St. John, New Brunswick, and the Phantoms. We beat you guys in 6 games. But man, looking back, even then, like your team, some of the players you had Marty St. Louis, Ziggy in net. I mean, and there's other guys too. But I mean, that was a really good finals. I think it probably could have gone 7. Just the team we got fortunate enough to grab 2 wins there in St. John, which was a hard thing to do. And I remember Rocky Thompson and Frankie had 3 unbelievable fights, man.
Yeah.
I mean, but I have to at least say I got that championship on you, even though you do have a Stanley Cup. But
dude,
anyway.
those teams, both those teams were sick, and that was the year that I had a little blip in my career, right? And that was the beginning of me getting back to the NHL, you know. And again, you know, I got to thank my wife Lisa, man. Like, she was a trooper through all this. You know what I mean? And like, we could have went to Europe, made some great money. You know what I mean? I was still young enough to go to Europe, play there for, you know, 5 or 10 years. And I said, let's just give it another shot. We'll give it 1 to 2 years. If we don't get back to the NHL, we're still young enough to go over to Europe. Italy was paying great money, Sweden, all these places. I go, let's just sit tight. And she stuck with it. And that was a great year. Bill Stewart was our head coach there. And I mean, we had Beastie, one of my best friends of all of hockey.
Oh, Bass. Right. Yeah. I forgot about the Beast being there.
I mean, those teams that going back to, like I said, with the Devils and Flyers games, like St. John Flames and the Phantoms, man, those were 2 teams that were stacked and loaded with a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
I mean, you talk about, you know, Frankie Bialowas and Rocky Thompson. I mean, the list goes on. We had Beastie, man, like that guy.
Yeah. He was crazy.
Oh my God. He great player. The Flyers signed him a big contract.
That was the weirdest thing, eh?
Yeah.
He was on an American League deal, though, I think.
American League
deal.
Yep.
Homer signs him, Riles. They give him $1 million signing bonus. And he's playing against us in the finals. And he's already coming to Philly the next year. It was one of the weirdest things ever. Was that weird in the room?
No, that wasn't weird in the room because we were so happy for the guy, man. Like,
yeah, I mean, okay.
He literally fought his way up from freaking played 4 or 5 years of junior hockey, 3 different teams, starts in the East Coast, like literally fought his way up and turned into a good player. And he was touted to be like another Mark Tenorti.
Right.
You know what I mean? Defenseman that can move the puck, you know, play solid D, toughness, kill penalties, like great team guy. You know what I mean? And it just, you know, that's how hard it is to stay in the NHL.
Yeah.
The easy part's getting there, right, Rob? The easy part's getting there.
Oh man, yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about? I go, you just keep going. The easy part's getting there for a day. Hard part staying.
Staying there. Yeah. And Beast, I remember obviously the next year I became good buddies with him. We got along really well, but it was funny, even though he had signed with us, he was still trying to break guys' wrists out there. That guy with his sticks. I mean,
no practice. He was the best.
Oh my God. He was.
He only knew one way to play.
That's
why those are the teams that are successful too. Like the Devils, when I came up with the Devils, there was fights in practice all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know, and it was like, okay, because you're a family. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, and I don't think there's probably not that much of that anymore in practice, but that's how it was. Like Scott Stevens, Kenny Danico in practice, man, playing against those guys.
Boy.
And they never took days off either.
Yeah.
Right.
I had a team, they could take days off, but they never took days off. And practicing was like a nightmare, you know, with defense we had back then.
Yeah.
One-on-ones, you just come start the drill, just dump it in the corner.
Yeah.
Steven, Danico,
don't even bother try to take it to the net.
Yeah, Steven, Danico, Niedermeyer, Sean Chambers, Driver. Our quote unquote 6th defenseman was Tommy Abilene. That guy played 15 years in the NHL.
Yeah, right.
Saying, like, look at some of those teams. It's crazy back then. The Flyers had the same thing, man. But you've seen it, Riles. You've been there. Practice. It's like, you know, you got to practice the way you play.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's the truth.
That was a great series, man. You got that one on me, man. I got a championship at every level. State championship, Brick High School, national championship, Stanley Cup, and that AHL one slipped away, man. That's bullshit.
I think you're on the better end of it, but it was fun, man. And you know, I was obviously I didn't play. I was just a pigeon equipment guy, but I was able to get 2 of those. So in Riles, we got one together, and I mean, those are some of the best times. It's not a Stanley Cup, but man, it feels like it when you're winning it, man. And you know what's funny, Junkyard? Both times the Phantoms, I was able to win. The first time the Spectrum sold out 17,380.
Unbelievable.
I mean, it was
crazy.
Because we got up in that game and Litz was unbelievable too. Because you guys had chances when it was 2-1. Litz stood on his head, but when we got up in the third, 4-5-1, I mean, you couldn't even hear yourself think. It was so loud. And then Riley, at the same time, we won in the center with 20,000. And we were winning going into that third period, I think 4-5-1 Riles. And I mean, it was from 10 minutes down. I mean, it was just, they were on their feet. It felt like you're winning Stanley Cup.
Man. Dude, it's the best. It's the second best league to the NHL. It's amazing, man. But yeah, I love the old Spectrum, man. One of my favorite buildings, man. Yeah. Favorite buildings, concerts, hockey games is the best. Anything goes in Philly too. Anything goes.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's like, yeah, dude, I've seen some shows there. Yeah, pretty interesting. To say the least.
Yeah.
No, but
Did you see the Dead there? Did you see the Grateful Dead there?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Did you? I
Plenty
saw. I
times,
did
yep.
once. I did once.
Yeah. Anything goes in there, man. And like Madison Square Garden and the Spectrum, anything goes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They run there with dogs, setting up shops with blenders and everything. Blenders. They got their dogs.
Were you there, Riles? You have the blender, and fruit up and everything.
Make a smoothie.
Right down on the floor, man. People setting up shop.
Hey, Junkyard Jim, Riles hasn't put anything bad in his body since you left, or maybe after the next year. This guy, I don't think have you had a burger or anything, a cheeseburger or some fries or anything?
Not for a while. I still have some cheats now and then.
Okay.
All right. Manny.
I gotta say, so what's your cheats? Because I told you I'm getting down to 180. When the height of my playing, it was 185 pounds. I'm getting down to that because I want to legitimately be able to skate with my boys this summer.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm almost down there now. It's great.
I'm gonna 185 pounds too, Jimmy.
Yeah, that's what I want to get to. 185, man.
He weighed 40 pounds more when you were playing with it.
I know. Oh yeah. Some of those pictures. Oh yeah, dude, that was a good time. And me, you, and then when Downey came up, man, me, you, and Downey on the line.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
that was something else.
There's a story about.
Dude, he's like the old Dan Jonathan, man, from the Boston Bruins.
Oh my God.
Downey, that kid, if he could have kept his head on straight, man, he could have played 10, 15 years in the NHL because he was a good. He was
good. Somebody said, I remember when
he wasn't afraid of anybody.
No, he had a little switch in there.
Yeah, 3 screws loose instead of 1.
Instead of 1. Yeah. I remember, I think it was Ryan Malone. I think Bugsy Malone said he's one of the best players from the Circles End.
Yes, unbelievable.
That he had ever played with, which is a pretty good compliment. I mean, but he was a good hockey player. Like you said, he had a screw loose on. I'll never forget when he hit Riles. We were talking about this the other day, not on a show, but just talking about when Downs hit Dean McCammon. Poor guy left a kind of a drop pass, and he was looking. Downs may have been a couple seconds late on the hit, but I mean, it was
that was 07-08 training camp.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, that poor guy, Dean, he played a little bit for the Flyers, but he was out, but everyone jumped on Downs. And I remember McCammon getting drugged along because he was out cold though. And he was hooked onto someone's leg somehow. And I just remember thinking, Jesus, someone get to him. Like he was out cold. And then not funny. I mean, looking back, Dean's fine and everything, but looking back, Clarkie, obviously we're in Ottawa, we're in Canada. So many reporters around Clarkie want to get a word. And he's like, clean hit. Had his head down, clean hit. I'm like,
and then so he gets suspended 20 games.
25, I think, right?
Hey, wow.
Yeah.
Then we start the season in Vancouver.
That's right.
Jesse Bowlery, and Jesse Bowlery's had something with Kessler. And, I don't think too many people were unhappy with what he did to Kessler. You know what I mean? But he got suspended another 20 games for that.
Yeah.
That was definitely suspendable what he did.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I remember I had Kess a couple times with USA Hockey.
Yeah, what do you ever say about that?
So I got to he's just like, wait, if you remember, Jesse didn't get him that good, but the fact that it really didn't hurt him. He had a little mark, but of course he sold it.
Exactly.
He sold it. But what I was going to say about Kess is like, he was one of those guys, like you said, unless you knew him and play with, like like this guy's a jerk off, like he's an asshole. He was on the ice. He's like Marshall, and like guys hate him. But it was funny. And speaking of Marshall, we were playing the World Cup. We were playing Canada. I think it was before the real tournament started. We played them twice. We played them in Columbus and then one in Ottawa the next day. But there was a scrum at our bench, and Marchand goes. He's like, holy fuck, Cass. He's like, even your own teammates hate you. And Cass goes, oh, I've never heard that one before. I just started laughing. I'm like, I was like, does everybody say that? He goes, oh, fuck. Everybody says that to me. So I just thought it was funny. But yeah, Jesse caught him there. And Riles, you guys were splitting. It was like you guys were taking turn. But that was great for you because you jumped right in for the next 20 games or whatever. And then
100%.
And he got sent. I think didn't he get sent down after? Like he was down.
Yeah, they sent him down there because service suspension and whatever else. But between Downs, Jesse getting suspended, and then Eags, there's four of us competing really for one spot. And then I'm not sure exactly what happened with Eags. He just
he got traded to Chicago.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't performing, and then they ended up trading him. So they had two guys suspended for 20 games plus, and then, well, there's your opportunity to take advantage with Jimmy on the fourth line. And
there you go, man.
Yeah, man.
If you just stick with it. Work hard, be a good teammate, man. Eventually, something good's gonna happen.
Yeah. You both of you two are obviously locker room favorites. I mean, it's Jimmy, like you said, you play this long, you don't stick around if you're not a team guy, good guy, and you guys both were locker room favorites, that's for sure.
Hey, Jimmy, I was going to ask you, you touched on a little bit your dip in your career. I remember you talking to me when we were upstairs and in the weight room before practice at one time about this revival of your career, and I thought I remembered you maybe breaking your back or having some serious injury that kind of threw a wrench in everything. And then all of a sudden you switched your whole routine around, and you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. Can you talk about that? Cause I think it's pretty powerful for you to, first of all, acknowledge it and do something about it. And then lengthen your career another, 7 years or so after making those adjustments.
It's actually, lengthened my career 12 years, man. Like I said, the easy part is getting to this. I was best in New Jersey as a kid, best in high school. I get a scholarship, get drafted, the best in the country in college. I signed pro, the best in the minor leagues. You keep chipping away at it. I get up, I sign 2 nice contracts, win a Stanley Cup, on top of the world. Get married, all of a sudden, 27/turning 28, I get sent back to the minors. And let's get one thing straight. When you get sent back to the minors at 28 years old, you're not in NHL, Major League, you're not getting back to the major leagues, the NHL. And that's when I was in Hamilton, Ontario, right?
Yeah.
The Edmonton Oilers organization. And we're about a month into the season. I'm sitting there like Lisa, we're sitting there, we didn't have any kids yet. We were married. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Depressed. I'm like, back playing with, 20-year-old kids, 21-year-old kids, what's going on? And my wife was doing all this research. She wanted to, find out. She wanted to start having kids and get as healthy as possible. So friends of ours told her about this holistic doctor, Dr. James D'Adamo, Eat Right for Your Blood Type.
Yeah, sure. I know exactly what that is.
The research, he had an office in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, but he also had one in Toronto, 45 minutes from us. So my wife says, hey, I'm going to give this a shot. I said, Lee, I'll try anything. You know what I mean? I mean, we're giving it one more year. If we don't make it, we're going to a year, but I'll try anything. I was playing at 192 pounds, 192 pounds, my whole life from college on. So we made an appointment, got in, he did the whole iridology thing and went over this and everything that guy said back when we were 28, that's what, 20, 30, 40, 24 years ago, he was spot on 100%. Everything that's happening right now and all this stuff, he was 100% spot on. I went and did the program cold turkey, the pure supplements and all that. I went right down to 182 pounds in like a month. But I had a neck injury and let me regress a little bit. I had a neck injury that year, and the freaking doctors up in Canada are freaking brutal. They're telling me I'm never going to play again, this and that. I'm like, what are you talking about? So then my agent found me a specialist in Rochester, New York. The guy laughed. He goes, what? He goes, you have your C4, C5s. It's, condensed, whatever. He goes, listen, it happens with football players, hockey players, boxers, all contact sports. You're going to be fine. You just got to give it rest. There's nothing you do, and you'll be fine. So I missed about 2 months, almost about 2.5 months. But in the meantime, I was getting into the whole organic, natural way of living. That's when I basically cut out all drinking during the season, would pick my spots once in a blue moon. And I went right down to 182 pounds. But I'm like, holy shit, I called the doctor. I'm like, man, I just lost 10, 12 pounds. Listen, I didn't tell you couldn't have pasta, just get, certain type,
right.
Not as much. But then I adjusted everything. And lo and behold, I played 182 to 184. I spent the next 12 straight years without a day in the minors. I let that sink in, you know what I mean? And you saw me in my last couple
years
at me. Like, I didn't put a bad thing in my body, and I'm a firm believer, man. What your body can do, your body can heal itself.
Oh,
basically.
for sure. It's designed to.
No, I had zero issues with my neck since then. Nothing. You know what I mean? My joints, everything. It's great.
Yeah.
Put into your body. And to this day, I obviously got away from it a little bit, retirement. But, I feel great. You know what I mean? My wife and I are still into it. We have our own nutrition company now. We do a whole supplement line and organic, all natural products. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer. We always go back to the book. It's one's man food is another man's poison. It's a great book, but you can only get it from the bad. Dr. James D'Adamo. He has a son, Peter, who's out of Connecticut. He's a little more lenient. But Dr. James D'Adamo, right off the bat, he gives you this list of stuff that does nothing for you nutritionally. Nothing. Chocolate, soda. I mean, the list goes on and on. Don't let anybody tell you any different. These things right here do nothing for you.
Yeah.
Don't ever put them in your body. But the son's a little more lenient because he was younger, but the dad's like, hey, no. You want to get healthy? You want your body to heal itself?
Yeah, that's it.
Brain to work.
Got to be honest with it.
Yeah.
What I found fascinating with that whole thing was that like there are certain foods that someone might think as healthy foods that, like I think it breaks down in 3 categories, if I remember correctly, like actual medicine, neutral, and then poison. So the actual, a healthy food might not actually be that healthy for that blood type or for that individual person, how it digests, and actually acts as a poison and an obstruction to wellness. But that's interesting. Yeah. I mean, you have to be honest with that whole conversation on nutrition. I think a lot of people dodge it because it requires so much discipline. Yeah, but I mean, it's like, if you want to be well, if you want to perform at a high level, I mean, we have to view our food as well, medicine, but as actual fuel, right? I mean, it's fueling the body, the brain, the whole bit.
Yeah, and that's another thing I got to thank my wife Lisa for, man. She's the one that got me into it, and she did her research, and she was unbelievable with it. It's like I'm an A blood type. My 2 boys are A. She's an O, so she can have more red meat. The only red meat that I eat pretty much is lamb, ostrich. Because it's the easiest to digest. There's just little things like that, and it's amazing. You just got to get by the first 3 weeks, of eating right and doing all that. You don't even want that crap at night or whatever, you know what I mean? Or if you do have a cheat day, whatever, it's not going to bother you.
Yeah.
Like he would say, he goes, listen, the Dr. James, he goes, listen, if you're staring at that piece of chocolate cake for 2 weeks, he goes, just eat the damn thing. He goes, don't stress over it because it's going to be worse for your body.
100%. Yeah.
Not, but it's amazing. And you look at the top athletes these days. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
It's Tom Brady, man.
Tom Brady, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So many of them. I mean, Rod Brindamore. Look at that guy. His coach is
oh
in
my
better shape
God.
than players, man.
He is in better shape than
it's
them.
insane.
Yeah.
That's a guy I'm happy for. Another ex-Flyer, man.
Yeah.
Like
he's unbelievable, man.
In the league, man.
You talk about a good person, like you were saying earlier. I mean, that man, he is a good man. Really is.
Yeah, nutrition's a huge part of it now, man.
Yeah.
It was little by little. Like when I first came in early 90s, 90, 91, we wheel a quart of beer in right after the game.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Look, guys are smoking cigarettes and we do beers. Mark LaForest, man, one of my favorite guys.
Trees.
Man. Awesome. Like guys are smoking between periods. And then 6-7 years into it, if you had to get beer, you get it from the trainer, in the back. You just didn't bring it in front of everybody. And, it's just the progression of making things better. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And then the other thing I noticed with you too is, and I think this is becoming obviously and has become a big part of it is just like just your daily maintenance. Like you knew what you needed to do as a veteran guy, versus like a 20-year-old kid that would have to maybe pour in a little more effort, in the gym and whatever else. Yours is like maintenance, but you had this little routine. I remember I think it was mainly around your back and your neck, maybe. The core and the whole bit, but just
every day.
Every day. But but that stuff in conjunction with the nutrition was a huge piece of your career. And like you said, like I think everyone's kind of adopted this somewhat now because I mean there's chefs in each locker room and the functional
crazy
is so elite now that like there's like basically what you've taken with your philosophy and implemented it as an organizational one now. Every organization pretty much does it. But now it's like the piece that's missing are the guys that are physical specimens, but what separates a guy that doesn't make it now? And you said it earlier, it's the mind, right? I mean, it's like that piece between your ears that, some guys have it, some guys don't have it.
I mean, again, my wife in the last 2 years, man, like it's been 14 months. We don't watch TV. I haven't watched TV going on 15 months now. My wife and
I cannot do that. Not a chance.
No, I'm telling you right now, we're going on 15 months. No TV. Like I'll watch my son's games on the Big Ten Network. We won't watch the commercials. And I'll still watch some hockey, but when the commercial comes on, I put it on mute. Don't listen to anything. Nothing.
Yeah, good for you.
Like nothing. And I tell you, no TV, nothing. You know what I mean? And my wife's we've been in. It's been amazing the last year and a half here.
It's high fructose corn syrup on a TV screen, right, Nast?
No, what?
High fructose corn syrup,
now
man.
You guys are
for the brain.
For the brain, man.
Listen.
I never thought in a million years I wouldn't watch TV for 15 straight months.
Turn the tube off, Nast. Turn the tube off.
Not a chance. All I watch is sports anyway. It's not like I really. I don't watch much more than that. I mean, a movie here and there, but Anyway, I could not do that, bro. I've got a TV literally almost in every single room in the house, man. If I'm doing something, I even have one in my shop. I have it on the NHL Network because people come in and sit down and watch anyway.
Yeah.
But
like I said, I keep up on the NHL, but I don't, it's just, it's been great,
Yeah, man.
It's right between your ears, right,
Yeah,
Ralph?
it is. It is. It's so true. There's so many distractions, right? I mean, now the cell phones and every app possible underneath the sun. I mean, it's easy to get pulled away from what you need to be doing. Whether you're a pro athlete or a 9-to-5 or whatever else, it's easy to get distracted. But I think that's the biggest lesson for the young kids is just to staying focused. I got 2 young kids, and every day, it's 20 times a day, I'm just like, focus. It's like it's hard to teach focus, but if you don't create an environment that supports focus, you're never really going to learn it, right?
Hey, think about it too. It all started back in the day with Space Invaders, Asteroids, and Pac-Man. Right?
Right.
And now it's like, what is it now though? And that's just as bad as what they have now, right?
For sure.
Space Invaders, Asteroids, Galaga, Pac-Man, right?
Galaga, that was my favorite.
They have what's it called, the Xbox thing, right? And there was I read a thing a couple years ago, Vancouver. They had to ban Xbox from on the road.
The kids are playing in every.
Oh, they're still playing until 3, 4, 5 in the morning.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%.
But it started way back with us with freaking again Asteroids, Pac-Man, Invaders.
Elvis was given what's it called, PS5. I don't know those things. I can't play. So he's got the hockey game, and I'll let him play. Like he loves playing. It's kind of, I don't know if it's teaching him things, but it's funny how he plays and watching him play.
It helps him on the ice. You're saying.
I know that sounds crazy, but he recognizes things a little bit better. But anyway, I only let him get on there for like 45 minutes because he would stay up there because he loves. But I remember being in college one time. I'm not a video game guy, but we started. Somebody had one of those Sega things or whatever they were called, and we made a hockey tournament. So you had to pick your team out of a hat, and we had so many guys. And I remember, just learning how to play. That's all I wanted to do. It's all I could think about during my soccer or basketball practice, getting back to practice because I had a game the next day because we had schedules.
Yeah.
And you played so many games and then you went to the playoffs. It was like a real league. And I'm like, after a month, I'm like, I got to stop. That's all I'm doing. And I quit. Answer the phone, Jimmy. It could be one of you could be getting the call again.
You know what? We I don't even know why we have a house phone.
I was going to say.
I didn't know they existed anymore.
Right? Dude, we literally never use it. And it's all telemarketers, man. They're following us coming everywhere.
Through.
I think Lou's trying to get a hold of you, the Islanders. He wants you to go to the Islanders for the playoffs.
No, guys, this has been great, man.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on, man. It's been awesome.
Thanks, brother.
Nice to reconnect. And
definitely, man, definitely. And man, I'm watching it. I'll spread the word. I love watching you guys show. It's awesome, and I'm glad you guys are doing well. And Riles will connect after this. And Nasty, same thing, man. I'm still looking. Still, I still need my Flyers tracksuit, man. So I don't know what's up.
Well, I can't help you much with that right now. I might actually. That's
the only thing I didn't stock up on when I read.
I was gonna say I'm surprised you didn't because you had more gray shorts and t-shirts. They have no logo on them either, Riggs? We were back. That's when we started getting all the Flyers stuff, and guys are wearing that was back kind of when it started. The deals started to go, and Junkyard just had the grays on, man. Like I remember being a kid and coming to see Dad, and the boys wore the one pieces. Remember those? And the Stanfield, the light blue and the navy, and that's all there was. And I remember my dad was like pretty pumped because Stanfields, I think is what it was called, or Stanfield, whatever. They came out with this dark, like this gray with black, and my dad's like, "Oh, this is so much better for the Flyers because it's got black on it instead of the light blue," But Junkyard had the grays. I used to love the little folding up and then just checking on everything.
Supplements, stuff.
Right?
Yeah, the routine.
Good stuff, man.
Beautiful.
Now you have Junkyard. Now there's we had a trunk for supplements. It's crazy how much it's, I mean, but it's a good thing, I guess. It's what the
bad thing, man. It's not. You do the right thing. It's only going to help you.
One last thing, Junkyard. I was just thinking about this because you could probably relate because you were playing in the league like right when I came in. the amount of things you took on the road. Like we could put everything for a road trip in a van. And I'm not kidding you. There was the trunks were a jersey trunk. You had a skate sharpener and a medical trunk, and then you had bags and in a stick bag, and now you need, I mean, it's crazy. It's turned into a miniature rock show, like traveling around. And that's one of the things that some people ask me once in a while, like, what's the biggest thing? I'm like, oh my God, how much you travel with international, even American League, man. I mean, all these leagues, like you have to basically have one of everything just in case. Because if you don't, you can end up in a spot. But anyway.
Yeah. Nice, man. So I'll let you guys know we got a golf outing coming up too. So what else I got going on? Both my boys, they didn't play AAA till midgets, but they play with the New Jersey Titans Youth Hockey Organization in Middletown, New Jersey here, and they both committed out of there. Okay. And we're one of the last thing we'll talk about, I guess, or whatever, is that it's so freaking expensive to play hockey these days, no matter where you go, man. And we're doing an annual golf outing. It's going to be Monday, August 30th at Pine Barrens Country Club in Jackson, New Jersey. And every cent we raise, every cent is going to scholarship for kids.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful.
And it doesn't matter what level, AAA, AA. I mean, it's a lot of money for these people these days.
Yeah. Oh, it's insane.
For sure, man.
It is just to run the whole thing, but every cent's going towards for the people that need help.
Beautiful.
That's awesome, man.
And I'd love to get it around to the big picture, man. Would be amazing to be able to fund an organization every year where kids could play for free. Like,
right.
Like it's insane. There's people in AAA hockey, it's just, and even AA hockey, like you're spending like $10,000. AA hockey kid, you're spending over 10 grand for one kid.
Oh yeah.
It's insane, man.
Crazy. You know what I mean? So that's what we got coming up. We're going to have 22 foursomes, trying to get, a celebrity in each foursome. So I'll let you guys know about that too. The flyer will be out here soon, but yeah, that's where my boys played. It's a way for me to help give back, Yeah. I mean, luckily my boys, they never they did it, sort of the same way I did. I never played triple hockey. They didn't play AAA hockey until the first year midgets. People thought I was crazy, but I was around them all the time with them, and it worked out fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, really well.
Yep. So lots of good stuff happening, man. Guys, I appreciate you having me on anytime.
Yeah, man.
It's great to
love
see
it.
You.
The junkyard dog.
All right, brother. We'll be in touch.
All right, fellas. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks. Good seeing you.
Have a great day, guys.
That episode was brought to you by Deal Dash. Nasty, I know you love winning.
Oh, my God.
And I'll never forget your 3 men's league back-to-back championships with Natty Light. And you've been chasing that feeling ever since. I'm
still chasing it. You just want to get better and set more records.
Oh, I know where your head's at. And you're still winning because you use Deal Dash.
You are totally correct. I do. It's the online shopping platform, Riggs, that is actually fun. It's Deal Dash is the longest running penny auction website and app around, bro.
Is it too good to be true? You bet it is.
Dude, I've seen a car sold for $900 on there and a brand new TV for less than $2. I'm serious.
I don't believe it, Nast. I don't believe it.
Check it out.
Don't be a loser. Stop paying full retail price for the things you want and get on Deal Dash. Go to www.dealdash.com or download the app. By the way, when you register, enter the promo code Knuckles. That's code Knuckles for a special offer. Want to thank
boys and girls.
Do it. Let's do it. Want to thank our special guest, Jimmy Dowd. What a beauty he is, Nast. Hey,
God,
legendary,
that, man. The junkyard dog.
Oh man, what a wily veteran. Yeah, no kidding. It's nice to reconnect with him. He was my first full-time centerman with the Philadelphia Flyers. So,
oh man, what a
had a special bond with him.
Yep. Yeah, he was a treat to have around, and still shocked he played for 16 teams after college. Like, I had no clue he played for that many teams.
Teams wanted him.
They did. They wanted him, and his probably longest stay in Minnesota, where he was part of the captain's group. They were switching to see around, but he was a big part of that when they started that team. And well, we know why. We saw what he brought to the table when he was his short time in Philadelphia. He was awesome, funny guy, fucking intense when he's playing.
Oh yeah,
hilarious. Biggest celly ever. I think he cellies harder than Ovi, and he didn't score as many as Ovi. But it was like, man, I used to love. Yeah, I loved when he scored because his cellies were just great.
The straight arm, right? The straight, stiff arms, and the arch back, and
he might be one of the only guys besides 99 at like the old jersey tuck. He had the tuck all the time going.
Oh yeah, he had some style.
That. Yep, Stanley Cup champ. Can't take it away from him. Though.
Yeah, for sure. And Jimmy's one of those guys. If if every parent just listened to Jimmy Dowd's story and just understood Jimmy Dowd's character and his philosophy of just have a good attitude, be a good teammate, and work hard, just be simple. Like we could really kind of help our youth out, because I think a lot of these parents and coaches just screw with kids thinking that they're going to be this first line ultimate elite NHL hockey player, which is very, very hard to accomplish. And Jimmy's just such a grounded human, and really just was so understanding of his job and what he needed to do to survive in the NHL, and he did it. I mean, there's only one way you could play that long and be essentially a fourth line guy, utility guy for that amount of time is to be the right type of energy in the locker room and be a good guy and do what's necessary. But so much to learn from him, and such a simple guy and simple player. It's just amazing how you can make a living by just being honest and good in face-offs, penalty kill, and just be, again, you always have to be a good guy if you're going to be in that glue situation. Right. But love learning from him. He was one of the guys that really got me onto this path of taking care of my body. Too little, too late for me while I was playing, but nonetheless, some of his messaging carried over into my post career. So nothing but love for Jimmy Dowd.
And too, Riles, like we talked about, there were lots of times in his career where he could have just said, you know what, I'm gonna pack it in, maybe go overseas and play. Yeah. And he stuck with it, and give his wife credit too for saying, no, let's take this shot. I think it was the one where he was going to Montreal. I'm not sure. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he stuck with it, and what a career. I mean, played a long time, man. Played a long time. But you're right. He did all the little things well, on and off the ice. Yeah. And you're right. Just keeping things simple, and a lot of parents could learn from Jimmy Dowd. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, he's got two boys there that they're blessed to have a mentor like him, and they're doing well, obviously, in their respected leagues and age groups there. But what an awesome dude, and into some different business ventures as well. So carrying that same attitude into that team atmosphere of business, and wish him the best. But really appreciate him coming on and spending the time with us. Great. It was nice to see old Junkyard.
We could stay on. We could have stayed on forever. Oh yeah, too. Just talking. He's not hyper at all. He's like me. He just gets fired up.
Gets excited.
Wants to talk, and it's great. Yeah.
He thinks of a story. He just gets it.
Yeah. Right.
That was good stuff.
He's a man.
But that will wrap up episode 26 of Nasty Knuckles. Be sure to tune in next week for episode 27. Until then, you gotta stay safe. Gotta have some fun. And
gotta do it.
And you gotta do it up, knuckleheads.
That's right, knuckleheads. See ya, boys.